It started with a compliment,
He told me that I was his sunshine.
but the attention soon turned. Terrifying.
Hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of messages.
The words he used, the pictures he drew were scary. They were of a sexual nature. They were violent.
Creepy thoughts like, I just want to feel your pulse.
Sexual scenarios involving others. Kidnap you and me. Rape you. You would die quickly.
And proclamations of love. You are the one I love the most, forever and ever.
Is a genius behind the madness. And what is compelling him to do it?
Scary, vulgar, disgusting.
But he's also extremely intelligent. He's hoodwinked basically everybody.
A family speaks out about 8 years of pure hell, which has left them helpless and scared.
It's not if he does it, it's when he does it again.
Are you afraid right now?
Of course. Absolutely, I fear for my life.
Beautiful, smart Emma Furlong was 14 and a freshman, just weeks into her exciting first year at Andover High School in Bloomfield Township, Michigan. When a senior, 18-year-old Jay Yen Ding, Jay for short, a gifted student and musician, took serious notice.
Tell me about the first incident with him.
I was in the hallway by my locker, and he came up to me with a group of friends behind him and told me that I was his sunshine, and then just stared at me and didn't walk away. I just felt that something was really off, just the way he was so fixated on me in that moment. And I was the one, even though I was at my locker, I had to walk away because he wasn't going to.
So a little more intense than your average high school crush. But Emma wasn't too worried. That is, until she says Jay started following her around school.
Like following you.
Following me, tracking me like a predator and prey relationship. He memorized my class schedule, so he would follow me from class to class. This was not a few isolated incidents. This was a nearly constant thing. The look on his face when he would look at me was frightening, as if I were some object that he needed to be with and have.
Emma tells her parents, who became immediately troubled.
As her father, I'm concerned that a strange boy is making unwanted advances towards my daughter. I'm fearful, I'm concerned.
But Emma doesn't want to get Jay in trouble and believes if things get scary, there are people who will keep her safe.
He was in the orchestra, I was in the band, so in that way we actually had mutual friends, and initially that brought me some comfort that if anything really weird happened, they would stand up for me.
Then she says things take a more serious turn. Jay gets bold.
I was in my English class, my freshman English class, and he knocked on the door, comes in, and told my teacher that he needed to speak with me urgently. And she didn't want me to disrupt the class, so she told me to go, and I was petrified.
In the hallway,
He told me that my life was in danger and that I had to come with him and leave the school immediately.
What was his demeanor when he was saying your life is in danger?
He was serious. He was much taller than me, but he put his body close to mine, his face close to mine, which made me extremely uncomfortable. And there was an urgency in what he was saying. For a second I questioned, well, is my life in danger? I did not know how to respond to this person who's a male aggressor, 4 years my senior, and telling me to come with him.
Emma doesn't leave with Jay. She eventually goes back into the classroom, but is definitely shaken.
I did not know what he would do next.
What is next is coming soon. Just a few days later, as Emma is waiting to be picked up from an after-school French club meeting,
She says Jay, once again, is there.
The whole school's empty now. He had waited until my club meeting was over and was waiting outside for me and was following me around. He just wouldn't leave me alone.
Emma's French teacher sees what's happening and pulls Jay away.
But it took her physically moving him away from me to resolve that issue before my mom got there.
High school officials give Jay a formal warning and tell him to stay away from Emma. But that doesn't deter him. Things soon turn physical when Jay allegedly gropes Emma and 7 other girls in the hallways of their school.
That alone should have been a criminal charge.
Jay is suspended for 5 days.
During talks with school officials, a contract is drawn up by the school and signed by Jay. In the contract, Jay agrees he will not contact any girl at Andover. and he will not touch any person without permission.
I just saw the police report.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the actual agreement.
It was handwritten. It was like kind of bullet points. Like, you agree to this.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
We've never been told that before.
A
Did
handwritten.
you hear that?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything with signatures.
No.
that are-
And we're just shocked that they would do something like that without consulting the victim or the victim's parents, particularly because it was a fourth-degree sexual assault at that time. And that really surprises me that there's a document.
Crime Watch Daily has since shown the handwritten contract to the Furlongs, who further expressed their disbelief how things were handled by the school. Emma's parents file a police report of forcible contact, but don't press charges.
We were completely misled. The school told us we couldn't take legal action. They said they were handling it, and we were not privy to any of these conversations that the school had with Jaeun.
Jay is eventually expelled, but allowed to graduate early.
They basically didn't give us an option, and they told us what was going to happen, and they told us that he was already planning to move with his mother back to China, and you would never have to worry about him again.
But the break wouldn't be that clean. Emma tries to go on with her life. Then senior year, an unwelcome visitor from the not-too-distant past.
He never did move back to China.
The behavior started up again.
Emma Furlong's high school career was ending the same way it began, being allegedly stalked by fellow classmate Jay Yen Ding.
All I wanted was for it to stop.
Emma was under the impression Jay had moved back to China and was out of her life forever.
I can't even read it. It's so disturbing.
But after a new barrage of emails and social media posts, she would soon learn Jay was closer than anyone could have imagined.
It turns out I'd been receiving a bunch of different messages from a bunch of aliases over email, Facebook.
When we found out he had been stalking her just covertly using aliases, we were really frightened.
Jay had moved, not to China, but to Illinois, and then to Rochester, New York, where he was attending college.
My name is Jay Ding. I'm gifted in math, science, and music. I target to become an anesthesiologist, a radiologist, or a pathologist. I have developed an idea to reverse global warming. Please join hands with me in this exciting journey. I would so appreciate your support.
Seemed like Jay's studies weren't taking up all of his time.
Hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of messages of disturbing content, graphic sexual depictions of us together. The delusions he has are of a volatile nature. They're violent, they're aggressive, they're disturbing thoughts to read.
Disturbing thoughts like another boy secretly shot video of you having sex with him, admitting, "If I videotaped us, you can be sure that I would only show any videos to our children." Also saying, "One day I found myself tied to the 4 posters of your bed for punishment." And describing what he wished he could have stopped. "The biggest misfortunes that hurt me happened because of 2 guys, and to a smaller degree, your proms and homecomings. I can't get over it. Too bad I wasn't able to prevent it from happening." Once again, Emma files a police report, this time accusing Jay of intimidation, stalking, and internet harassment. But her family was left feeling alone in the fight.
No one seemed to really be taking it seriously.
Except that is for one person, Detective Todd Crum.
Detective, would you say this is the worst stalking case you've seen?
Absolutely. For sure it is. Part that bothered me was the sexual nature of it and just the talk of violence, suicide. He would find out intimate details about her life and try to interject himself in those. He's making up these stories in his mind as if they're having a relationship.
Crum decides to investigate.
Tell us what you can about the conversations you've had with Mr. Ding.
He was very jittery on the phone, very nervous, admitted to the contacts. I reminded him about the 2010 case where he had signed a contract with the school that he was to have no contact with her. He acknowledged that, but said, was afraid of the penalties. And it just struck me as odd, as if he was sorting out in his mind, is it worth it?
Turns out this wasn't the first time Jay made cops' radar. When he was 17, police recalled when Jay was found going door to door looking for a girl he knew from karate class, but hadn't seen in a year.
The girl told police the situation creeped her out and wanted no further contact with him.
In yet another attempt to stop Jay, Emma gets a personal protection order, or PPO. Jay, who's now in school in Missouri, violates it the next month when he sends a sexually explicit letter to her house. He then quickly writes an email to Emma's father. Subject line, "Long live the Thermal King." It stated in part, before knowing that a restraining order was placed, a letter was sent in the mail, addressed privately to Emma in order to establish friendship. It provided instructions for the condom and magic sand filling. I had hoped that this would cause Emma to neglect her boyfriend. I find these things disturbing and hope that you secure that letter and keep it away from Emma before it gets me into legal trouble. The very next day, Jay's mother writes her own email to Mike, apologizing for her son's behavior, stating in part, "I am deeply sorry for all the irrational behavior of my son toward Emma. I did not know he still was obsessed with Emma. Now that I know, I will do all that is in my power to help Emma and your family. My son is very naive. Please do be patient with him and try to forgive him."
Reportedly, a month later, Jay calls Emma at 1 a.m. and describes a sexual scenario involving Jesus.
She told him, "You understand you are violating your personal protection order." And his response was, "I don't care."
After almost 4 long years, Jay is finally charged with aggravated stalking. Case closed, not even close.
Coming up,
I'm sorry I've been torturing you with all these messages.
Jay was back.
To know that this was happening again, but it really hit me that this wasn't ever going to stop.
For many years, Emma Furlong felt like she was constantly looking over her shoulder. Her alleged stalker, Jae-Yun Ding, a former high school classmate, she says had been bombarding her with sexual and violent messages, violating the personal protection order she had against him.
The severity and the disturbing content escalated throughout the 8 years, infiltrating every level of my life.
Jay Ding was eventually charged with aggravated stalking. Reportedly, he goes into a mental health facility for evaluation.
And after failing to show up to court, a warrant is put out for his arrest. Cops catch up with Jay, and he's arrested on a felony stalking charge and extradited back to Michigan, where he undergoes a competency exam. The report finds him not criminally responsible. He is ordered to be tethered, and in a bold move by the judge,
He was banned from the state of Michigan, other than coming to and from for court hearings and forensics testing.
but Jay still doesn't let up, continuing to violate the restraining order by continuing to message Emma, who is now a freshman at the University of Michigan.
And he would send me hundreds and hundreds, sometimes hundreds in a day.
Jay's bond is revoked.
And reportedly, Jay goes into another mental health facility.
Once he gets served, he conveniently checks himself into mental institutions to avoid coming to court hearings.
A bench warrant is issued. Jay Ding eventually turns himself into the Oakland County Jail.
How many times did he violate his PPO?
Dozens of times.
A second competency exam is ordered. The findings? He's found competent to stand trial but not criminally responsible. Diagnosed with schizophrenia, hallucinations, delusions, and anxiety. Back in court, the judge gives his ruling.
He was found not guilty by reason of insanity.
Reportedly, Jay is ordered to a psychiatric facility.
You guys do not deny that this man has a degree of mental illness.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. He has schizophrenia, and that is a mental illness that many Americans have and are fully functioning. And on the other hand, too, a lot of people who have schizophrenia, who have committed felonies, have been found guilty and have gone to prison.
Instead, Jay is released from the facility and starts up again.
I'm sorry, I've been torturing you with all these messages, but I think if we were just to talk and get to know what is going on, we can not meet ever, but just understand each other. I don't even deserve your time right now.
Emma sinks into a deep depression.
I didn't actually know when he was released, but I definitely knew when I got about 30 messages from him in one day. To know that this was happening again was completely heartbreaking. And I think that was the first time that it really hit me that this wasn't ever going to stop. That reality really sunk in, and I became extremely depressed. I was too anxious and nervous and fearful to go to classes because I didn't know where he was. I didn't know if he was going to hurt me. All I did was lay in my bedroom, scared.
During this time, Jay posts this "What is Consent" poster to his Facebook page.
He's a genius. He's hoodwinked basically everybody.
You guys believe he has done a good job in faking people out.
Masterful.
We've seen him show up, haven't we, to some of the court hearings where he thinks he's going to have to appear mentally ill, really putting on just a whole show.
In an interview with our affiliate WXYZ, psychiatrist Dr. Howard Belkin says it's possible to avoid jail by faking the symptoms of being insane.
It is possible that someone who has an expert opinion and expert knowledge of a mental disorder could use that knowledge and confuse or even deceive someone who's an expert.
Jay Ding is sent to face felony stalking charges in a Washtenaw County court. There, yet again, he is evaluated and deemed competent to stand trial, but found not guilty by reason of insanity. He's ordered back to a psychiatric facility. Emma says he's not tried to contact her since that day. And just recently, Ding voluntarily recommitted himself for another year. That's where he still is today.
Crime Watch Daily reached out to the Washtenaw County Prosecutor's Office. They declined to comment.
The Bloomfield Hills School District also declined to comment for the story, citing privacy laws. But Ding's former attorney, Manvinder Talwar, did comment, stating he's suffering from a mental condition. That should be taken into consideration. The plea that was entered in our case was that he was to be placed in a mental health facility, not designed to penalize him, designed to get him needed treatment and not jeopardize his future.
I'm not vengeful or angry. I'm scared this behavior is continuing. So what we're seeking is a guilty but insane verdict where he gets a felony charge and he has some accountability for his actions, but at the same time I'm protected and he gets the help he needs.
Emma's parents say it's been a long 8 years, and they're in awe of their daughter's resilience and courage to speak out.
You look at your daughter and you think about what she's been through.
We're incredibly proud of her. She is a remarkable woman.
And sadly, Dad, as you said, you feel like it's not over.
I'm frustrated beyond belief. I'll continue to worry. This is going to start over again at some point.
My biggest fear is that it won't just be over the internet anymore. What if he thinks he can get away with harming me in some way, raping me? I wouldn't put these things past him. He talks about doing these things in his emails to me. What is stopping him from taking the next step?
Are you afraid for Emma's safety? And I'll just go as far to say potentially her life.
I don't know what this young man's capable of.
To him, you'd say what?
Leave Emma alone. Enough's enough. And he knows it's wrong. Just leave Emma alone.